to another episode of Level Up Your Mental. My name is Ariel, and I am a licensed mental health counselor. Today, I wanted to talk about what has been going on with the tennis world. Not so much the sport itself, because I don't know much about it, but I really want to talk about the mental health aspect, about what just happened with Coco Gauff and her recent tournament and the backlash that she experienced for being a human being, which is something that is mind-boggling for me. We are all human, we all experience emotions, but I guess when it comes to sports or just being a professional, you're not allowed to show your emotions even when you're supposed to be in a private space, I guess. But let's get into it. So first, I want to just show the actual video of what happened for those that haven't seen it, just so people can get like a little background, on what is happening and why people are upset. And then we can look at Coco's apology video, and just go from there. So this quote that I have on here, it says, "I need to let out that emotion." Coco had a tournament in which she did not play well and she ended up losing. On her way back to the back room, there's a video of her smashing her racket, in which she thought was a private moment, because why are we filming the hallway of where sports players are coming in and out from? But that's not anything new, because when I watch basketball, it's the same thing. When stuff happens, they cut to the cameras that are in the hallways, and I think that's why a lot of players refrain themselves from doing anything until they get back to the locker rooms. But she thought it was a private moment, and it was her way of coping with her frustration after a tough loss. She was upset that the moment was filmed and broadcast, and she used the moment to raise a broader concern about athletes' privacy and their emotional health. Okay.
Coco Gauff, who is usually so even-keeled. I feel like she's trying to walk away from the camera there.
This clearly upset her. Point blank period. Upset her. She playing a sport. This is her life. I mean, this is her career. If you don't get upset certain days with the things that you do, it doesn't even have to be sports, it could just be your job in general. If you're somebody who's in sales and you don't make the numbers or whatever, you're gonna get upset. It's what happens. But I think the unfortunate part is that we were seeing what happened, and apparently, because I don't really watch tennis like that, but I do see a lot of the clips and stuff that happen. But apparently this has happened with other tennis players, and some of them haven't received nearly as much backlash, and really the videos that you see of them doing it, they're in private spaces, and I think that's what these tennis players and Coco is really getting at, is like they don't have any moment of privacy. And I think the other part that's really frustrating is that people are getting upset about her for this. What are we really getting upset about? Like, what are we really getting upset about? We're getting upset about somebody expressing their emotions after going through a tough loss and thinking that they're in a private space. But actually, of course, what does the media do? They end up finding the recordings, they end up finding where people are, and they put it and basically exploit it to the media. And, it's part of, what we're going through right now. It's just part of the game. Anything that can create content, anything that's going to get me any type of money and exposure that's gonna bring eyes, then yeah, of course I'm going to put it out there. And you can even see in the video, the lady's like, oh, she's usually even keeled, calm, whatever. At the end of the day, we don't know these people. We don't know them in their personal life. We only see them in these settings and what they choose to show us. We don't know how Coco deals with her emotions. Maybe this is just her way of dealing with frustrations, which we've all been through before. We may not all break things. We may not all get to that point. But for her, she was very frustrated with herself because she holds herself to a certain caliber. And of course, something like this upset her, and she had to let her emotions out in the moment. For some people, they're able to hold on to those emotions and they don't express them until later on when they get home or when they're in the locker room, like I've said before. But for her, it was very frustrating, and she didn't know how to cope with those emotions, so she released them in the best way that she could. She didn't hurt anybody. She wasn't out on, the actual tennis court in front of an audience, in front of TV cameras to show other people things. She was literally in the hallway heading to the back part, and they decided to switch the cameras over and see her in a moment where she's dealing with her emotions as a human being. And now everybody's criticizing her for it, like she's a terrible person and she has bad sportsmanship. Like, can we be for real? Can we be for real? Like, these are the things that we're worrying about right now, especially in this day and age. Somebody breaking a tennis racket in somewhere where they thought was privacy, in a hallway away from everybody, and now we're saying that it's bad sports. Let's really call what it is, because at this point, the amount of scrutiny that she's getting, the amount of scrutiny that Naomi Osaka is getting, and I know a lot of people are connecting it with the whole angry black woman thing and what that looks like in our society, but it does come to a point. She's allowed to express her emotions. She didn't put it out on anybody. She didn't say anything to anyone. And she actually came out and she apologized and she explained why she decided to do that. And I'm going to bring that video up too so that people can see.
Cameras. Yeah, I kind of feel like I have a thing with the broadcast. I feel like certain moments, the same thing happened to Irina after I played her final US Open. I feel like they don't need to broadcast. I tried to go somewhere where I thought there wasn't a camera because I don't necessarily like breaking rackets, but I lost 1 and 2. I broke 1 racket on quarters, I think, or round of 16 of French Open, I think. And I said I would never do it again on court because I don't feel like that's a good representation. But yeah, I tried to go somewhere where they wouldn't broadcast it. But obviously they did. So yeah, maybe some conversations we can be had, because I feel like at this tournament, the only private place we have is the locker room.
Which is unfortunate, because it's kind of just like, why is this a big deal? She got upset. Now, I can understand if it was a big deal that she did it on the court, which she said she's done it before and she promised herself that she wouldn't do it again. So she went to the back and did it somewhere where she thought was private. For me, as a mental health professional, I'm going to treat everybody as they're a human. Everybody has emotions. Everybody deals with emotions differently. Not everybody is being held to the standards of playing elite sport and getting paid for it and having the scrutiny and having to deal with the backlash on a constant basis. Like, that stuff is exhausting to deal with. And when we really just look at the human emotion when it comes to anger, especially after a loss, think about all the things that come up, right? So anger after a loss is normal. You're allowed to be angry when you lose something. We all want to win. We all want to win at something or whatever it is that we're doing. And when we lose, a lot of people can take that a little bit easier than others. But when you lose something, it comes with disappointment, unmet expectations, the expectations that you had for yourself. You feel like you let yourself down. You feel embarrassed. You feel powerless. You feel judged. There's a lot of high pressure and caring deeply about the outcome, especially for her. She's held to a certain caliber, and I know that she has won a lot of things in her life, and for her to lose this at in this stage, I think for her was a big challenge. And it's your brain reacting to stress before the logic comes through. This is before you even think about coping strategies and what works best for you and what will look better. Your brain is reacting to the stress. Again, everybody reacts differently. But, she's doing all of this in front of the whole entire world, the people that are there and the people that are watching on TV. And then to lose, now I have to go back out there because I really messed up. So, yes, anger is a human emotion. It's not a flaw. It's a signal that something mattered. It's a signal showing you that you cared about something and it didn't work out the way that you wanted it to, and this is the result of it. This is why you're upset, right? This is why you feel the way that you feel, right? So the whole thing with anger is that we can never take that away. All of our emotions is just part of being a human being. You're gonna get upset, you're gonna cry, you're going to deal with frustrations. That's not something that we can just take away, but you learn how to deal with it in a safe and in a realistic manner, right? So for her, her thing was doing it physically. You know, this is the same thing as if somebody was punching a pillow, ripping paper, squeezing a stress ball. Things like that help you to deal with your anger. You know, deep breathing, going for a walk, stretching, extra, all that stuff helps you deal with anger in different forms. But for her, she wasn't able to do all that stuff in the moment. Her thing was breaking the racket, which is the same thing as punching a pillow. I got to deal with this frustration right now. That's just something that I need to deal with. You know, other people, they cry. You know, talking it out with somebody, that's going to take some time, you know, journaling. Sometimes even just talking to yourself and reframing things like, I'm angry because I cared. It's okay to be upset. That tends to calm people down. You know, separating the loss from your identity. This is not who I am. This was just a moment. I had a moment. I will come back from this and I will, you know, manage it. It's the same thing that happened with Simone Biles when she had to deal with everything that she was dealing with, and she came back and she elevated and she did what she was supposed to do and she won. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has their moments, and I think for her it was just a lot in that moment. And again, she's a human. Emotions are gonna come out. It may not work for some people, but she didn't do anything wrong. There's no reason for her to be getting all this criticism. And then that also takes me into what happens when you don't let your anger come out. You know, you sit there and you're suppressing your anger. It doesn't make it disappear. If anything, it kind of just sits under the surface until something else triggers it. So over time, you might have to deal with emotional numbness or burnout because you're not learning how to manage your anger. You just keep stuffing everything underneath. And then at one moment, it's just going to explode, right? So anger can lead to anxiety, irritability, depression. You know, all that stuff starts to build up and it causes more issues. You can either get to a breaking point where you have an explosive outburst over something so small and people are very confused as to why you are so upset, and it's because you let other things build up and you never dealt with it. And then there's also the point of the physical symptoms when you don't deal with your anger. You get headaches, you might get stomach issues, you might have a lot of tension. And people also go towards self-blaming, towards, you know, turning inward instead of releasing what's going on. You're blaming yourself, you're dealing all the negative criticism and putting it onto yourself and not actually dealing with it, right? So a lot of times when you don't deal with anger, it's going to come out in other ways. And for her, the best way for her was to do what she needed to do in the moment, and I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, I know some people, when it comes to mental health and everything, that a lot of times they say, you know, punching pillows, anger rooms, things like that are not beneficial, just reinforces the behavior. But I think for a lot of people, letting out all that energy does tend to help, as long as you're not hurting somebody else or you're not hurting yourself. You know, you're doing it in a way that you're letting that frustration out. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Feeling angry after a loss doesn't mean that you're immature or you're weak. Expressing your emotions privately can be helpful. You know, it's healthy. It's not shameful. Everyone, athletes, professionals, regular people, struggle with emotional regulation. We don't all know how to manage our anger. I think it takes time. I think it takes a certain person to actually figure out, okay, I'm upset, what do I need to do? For a lot of people, they weren't taught that, and so they learn that, you know, after something happens, or, you know, they go to therapy and they learn how to figure it out. But at the end of the day, you're allowed to feel. You're responsible for how you release it. And for her in that moment, that was the best way for her to do it. And I just don't think she should be getting all this backlash. It's a bit ridiculous to me. And for me, as a mental health professional, I had to come out and say something, because we are in a world right now where you get criticized for every little thing that you do. Every little thing. Especially if you're under a microscope. People are just coming at you sideways for everything. And I think for her, it was valid. This is her career at the end of the day. When we lose a lot of things and we deal with stuff, your emotions come out. And for her, she's a human being. These things are going to happen. So I don't blame her for what she did. I feel like everybody coming at her is a bit ridiculous. I know a lot of it tends to be rage bait, and it's not actually what people feel. It's just what people want to say on the internet to feel like they're being heard, or to just get, get themselves up there so that they can get paid. That's really what the things are about now. But I try to ignore a lot of it because we don't know her. We don't know what it feels like to be in her shoes. And again, this was not directed towards someone. It was not like she went towards someone and tried to do something. It's not like she did it on the court in front of everybody. She tried to do it in a private space. And she is not the only one that has come out and talked about athletes having privacy. And I really don't like to follow that rhetoric either of people saying, "Oh, well, you're a celebrity, you signed up for this." No, as a celebrity, you signed up to be, known, but not to have your privacy taken away from you and all this stuff. At the end of the day, they are humans. Yes, we know that with being well known, people are always going to try and get footage and get certain things to put out to the world and try to get, some type of money or whatever back from it. But it's not like in a contract it says, well, what could happen when you become famous. People might put stuff out about you and it might be negative. Like, no, it just comes with it, especially now in the world that we live in with social media. Every little thing is put on a pedestal. When I was growing up, we didn't have social media. I mean, you had to go on the computer to go on MySpace and stuff like that. And a lot of times these blog sites, would have to go out and go be on the scene. Now you have people recording stuff for you. You have regular people that are out with their phones recording stuff, and they will send things to these blog sites so that they can get paid. And it's just that easy. So at the end of the day, she is a human. We're all human. We don't all know how to regulate our emotions. I don't blame her for what she did, but I do think there does need to be some change regarding athletes and their privacy, and stop criticizing them for being human beings. So I want to thank you guys for watching another one of these videos. It was really short, but I do think it was nice to at least highlight when it comes to mental health and celebrities and everything that's going on. Let me know what other topics you guys would like me to talk about, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.